Oh yes, this is exactly what you think it is. So hello everybody, and welcome to another video of The Isle. And yes, this is a gameplay video, if you couldn't guess. So here's the thing. I was planning on doing a video discussing about The Isle, you know, the usual stuff I have been doing for the past, like what, 1-2 years? And I wasn't thinking that there was a lot going on for me to talk about. And I thought, you know what? Why not? Why not a gameplay video? People have been requesting this a lot. Because after all, you guys are here not for the gameplay, let's be honest. You guys are here for my thoughts, for my ranting, for my input about the game, right? So here we are, playing the Isle, Evrima, on the Hordetest. God bless me, I don't encounter any raptors. Bleeding for no reason. I spawn in bleeding from a dilo, which I never saw, but we will go through it. We're gonna survive. I am at the moment 35% growth. We can manage. We can manage. We are already 1500 kilograms. They really buffed Debo, holy shit. But yeah, that's how the video is going to be. The focus is not really the gameplay because, for one, I'm not good at the game. I never was. Maybe in Legacy I was a little bit, but that's long gone at this point. So just relax, enjoy the view on medium settings, and let's just talk. Let's talk about the Isle. Let's talk about dinosaur survival games. Because there's actually a lot to talk about, but when I do my videos, I like to talk about specific points and focus exclusively on them. And usually they require... it's a lot more focus, it's very emphasized. They're not very rambling material, let's say. But because of that, I don't actually talk about the minor details, the minor things that happen during the game's development and during the patches. So I think this is actually the perfect time for me to do that. Let's talk about the Hordetest. How is it going? Because last time we saw, the Omnis were completely fucking broken. And at the moment, they still are. And apparently, some developers don't really think this is a problem. The current balance on the stress test is really weird, in my opinion. And I'm not talking about just the Omni thing. I already talked about that, so we are already aware of the current situation, which at the moment it still isn't fixed. But for example, they increased the weight for the Dibble to 3000 kilograms. I think it's way too small to justify the 3 tons, in my opinion. Maybe it has to do with balancing. Maybe it needs to have a certain amount of weight to be able to do something that the developers want them to do, because the Dibble is supposed to be that badger kind of dinosaur, or badger playstyle, where it punches up most of the time. And they deliberately made it very slow. Dibble is very slow. 3 tons is way too much. But then someone can also ask, well, if you need to put so much weight on something so small, why don't just switch Dibble with Styraco though? Because Styraco is slightly larger, so it makes even more sense them being heavier, and it can occupy the same playstyle. And this is why I'm always talking about roster bloat, because this is what happens. Because if Dibble is already this heavy right now, which they will probably tune it down a little bit, but even then, Dibble is gonna be heavier than quote-unquote it should be. And that's gonna clash even more with Styraco, which it's gonna happen. We're gonna have both. And that's the problem, because that's gonna clash. That's gonna clash a lot. So if Dibbles are this heavy already, how heavy are gonna Styracos be? Are they gonna rival Pekis? Because if they rival Pekis need to be even heavier. And if Pekis are even heavier, what about Trikes? It's this power creep that it's building up because of the roster bloat. Because let's say that Peki Rhino, Styraco and Dibble were just one animal. Instead of having those 3, there was just one. Then you could make it as heavy or as light as you want, because there's no competition for that playstyle. But the problem here is that there is, and we only have like what, 16, 17 animals right now? So just imagine being on the 40th and there's still dinosaurs coming up. Just imagine the amount of power creep that can happen with so many dinosaurs. And it's not only the amount of dinosaurs, it's the fact that there's so many that overlap with each other in terms of playstyle or stats or anything of the sort. There are too many clashes. That is why I advocate so much about just straight up reducing the amount of dinosaurs in the game. Because there's people that say, oh, but on the servers you can select the dinosaurs that you want or not to use. Okay, yes, that is an option. But the problem is, you can change the stats of the dinosaurs. If you could change the stats, you could at least balance the game yourself on your own server. But you can't. You can only pick which ones you want to have on your server. But they are not balanced. They are already getting unbalanced and there's only not even 20 of them. So let's say they actually add 100 dinosaurs, but people can choose which ones they want to use. That is a horrible idea, because for one, nobody wants to pick them. Everyone wants to have all the dinosaurs on the server. Even though you have the choice of picking which dinosaurs you want to have, people will pick all of them. That's why on path servers, there's like 40 or 50 or 60 dinosaurs, because you have the base game, which they don't remove them, and they add even more modded dinosaurs. Because people don't want to balance the game. That's the developer's job. It's not our job. And what's even worse is that the developers don't even let us do their job through balancing the game, because we can't change the dinosaur stats, we can only pick which ones we want to use. And people not only don't want to pick because they want to have all of them, but even when they have to pick them, they will be punished because some dinosaurs will be viable or balanced in comparison to others. So just imagine that someone wants to have a server exclusively with Jurassic dinosaurs. Some of those dinosaurs will be either extremely broken in comparison to the rest of the Jurassic dinosaurs, or will be completely useless. And because we can change the stats on the servers, we can adjust them so on that server they are viable as an exclusive roster. They can't do that. So saying, oh, you can pick which dinosaurs you want on your server, that doesn't matter when you can change the stats to accommodate the different roster. Because if the dinosaur list is already unbalanced by default, because the developers don't balance them, and the developers don't let us balance our own customized rosters ourselves, all servers are gonna have completely broken rosters. I just don't understand how people defend this. But this is why I make these videos. I make these videos to kickstart a discussion, to make people aware of what's happening and have critical thinking. I want people to think, to use their brain. I don't want people to blindly follow me. I don't want that. Because if you disagree with me, and you actually have a good point, I listen to that. I respect it. Even if I still disagree with it, I respect it. And when that happens, I know that I achieved my goal. Because I made people think, I made people question things, I made people discuss things. But there's those few, fortunately they are very few, but they are very vocal, that vocal minority. Like for example, on the last stress test video, with the pounds thing, the pounds to pin, there are so many people, like dozens, saying in the comment section, oh, this is just a stress test. You shouldn't put value on the changes on the stress test. So let's think about that. Let's think about that for a second. The stress test exists to be analyzed. It's on the name, it's to test changes that are being prepared for the next IL update. If you don't say that something is bad, or something is broken, or bugged, or whatever, if you don't give feedback to the developers, they will not know what is a problem. They will not know. So let's say that they release a stress test with some changes, doesn't matter what. And there's radio silence. The IL core doesn't say anything, they don't say anything on Reddit, on YouTube, anywhere. Complete radio silence. What do you think it's gonna happen? I will tell you what's gonna happen. Those changes are gonna go to the live servers completely intact, with zero changes. Why? Because there was zero feedback. They think, oh, this is completely fine, let's just go through with it and just send it to the live servers. And also there's another thing. This is not the first test, this is the final test. So before this, several tests were done. The QA spent weeks working on this, they did several tests privately, and only then the stress test was implemented. This is like doing the final touches. This is not active development of the update. This is the final touches. And if you go this far into the development of that specific content and it's still this broken, what do you think it's gonna happen? Not to mention that, let's be honest, even with feedback, they don't do anything. They don't use it for feedback. This truly feels like they are using this as marketing. Like, think about it. They don't care about our feedback, they deem it as valueless, but everyone is talking about it. You see every content creator and streamer. This really feels like it's just marketing. You know, like when a AAA company releases a beta of an upcoming game, and then like 3 months later the game comes out and it's exactly the same as the beta? That's what it is. It's marketing. But yeah, sometimes it is very strange. It's very weird. And what you can argue, and you possibly are right about, is saying that I'm harsher on the IL than with Path. You can argue that, and maybe you are right. So let's say that yes, I am. Why? Why do you think I am? Would it be because I value the IL more? Because I like the game more? Because I raised the game to a higher standard than the others? Because the game already proved itself in the past that it could do things better than it's already doing right now? I've been talking for almost an hour and I didn't see a single soul yet. Holy Jesus Christ. I put a higher standard on the IL because they already proved themselves in the past. They are capable of being the best. So if they were already the best and they proved themselves that they can be the best, why shouldn't I raise my standards towards it? If they themselves put that same standard. Their standard is, we are the best dinosaur survival game on the market. So my expectation is therefore having content and game quality of the best dinosaur survival game on the market. And at the moment, that is not what's happening. It's one step forward, 2 steps backwards. And the good things that they do bring always come with a caveat. Like for example, the graphics are great. The game looks good. It doesn't look good on mine because I don't have max settings on, but it does look good. I have seen other people playing it, and on max settings the game looks great, fantastic. But the performance is horrible. The game's performance is absolutely abysmal, and it wasn't like this before. Why are we going backwards? Listen, let's say hypothetically that the developers simply cannot increase the performance of the game. Let's assume they just can't. Don't make the graphics so high. Lower the graphics, for fuck's sake. I very much prefer having a slightly uglier game and having 144 FPS than having an absolutely gorgeous game with absolute fantastic lighting that I can't even pull to 60. Look, I have 40 FPS right now. 40. On a 9-year-old game. A game which I had 120 FPS when I was playing 5 years ago. 5 years ago? Yes, 5 years ago. Not only the game is gonna look horrible because I'm seeing almost a slideshow, but I can't even play it to begin with, because the performance just doesn't let me. But no, they deliberately chose to make the graphics great. But if you want that quality of graphics, At least make it so people can run it. And that's not happening. At least try it, but if you see it's not working, don't try it anymore, stop and go back. I don't think people would mind if the developers were transparent with us and they said, look, we tried doing this, but we simply can't. It causes too many bugs, it crashes the game, it causes low performance, so we are just gonna pull back and revert this change. If they were this transparent, there would be nothing but praises. There would be praises from me, from the other content creators communities, from the Islecore, from everywhere. But unfortunately, that doesn't happen. Which is sad, but oh well, what can we do, right? So yeah, I think I'm gonna call the video now. I think this was a good rambling. I think I would do something different for a change. Something more personal, I guess. And with that, I would like to thank all my Patreon supporters for supporting the channel and the content I create. If you want to join the ranks, you can do so for only $1 a month. The link will be in the description. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and opinions down below, join our Discord server, engage with the community respectfully, and I hope to see you all next time.